Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siboga TV, which is your number one online political channel. And today I am going to honor one of our subscribers who has actually requested me to talk about the university funding system or systems since independence up to the current university funding system of William Samuel Arap Ruto, where students are actually placed into 5 bands or 5 groups for them to receive the university funding. So that's actually what I am going to talk about. But before we dive in, I could request you to subscribe to this YouTube channel kindly. Hit the notification bell, share our videos to your friends, and also request your friends, if they are lovers of politics, to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And for those ones who have subscribed to our YouTube channel, I say thank you and may God bless you all abundantly. Now let us go back to the elephant in the room, which is about university funding in the Republic of Kenya since the time of independence until now, as we are facing a new funding system by William Samuel Arap Ruto. And as you know, our education funding system is actually linked to the funding model within the Commonwealth countries. That means it follows the way funding is done by the British government, and that's why our university funding was an appendage of the colonial British education system. And during this time, within the East Africa community, we had only 3 universities. That means we had Dar es Salaam University in Tanzania. We also had Makerere University in Uganda and the University of Nairobi in the Republic of Kenya. But at that time, education was within the East Africa community. And at that time, you will find that very few students could access university or could go to university. And because we had very few students, that means education was free. That means for you to enter into the university, you never had to pay for your rent, for food, your upkeep, because all those were provided even from the colonial time for those ones who were able to join those 3 universities. So there was nothing for a student to worry about. And at that time, upkeep was provided. At that time, housing was provided by the university. And at that time, actually, the university money was paid for, your fee. Then, from that, it came to a time when we were calling the boom era during the Moi time. And during this Moi time, students could access university, but education still was very free at our universities. in the Republic of Kenya, and any person who had accessed university education actually could enjoy being in the university, because you could not actually have anything to worry about, because your fee in the university was paid for. There was nothing to pay for the rent. There was nothing to pay for the upkeep. You will find that the government could actually send money to the what? To the university capitation fee, and could also channel some money to the accounts of the students, what they used to call boom. You could get a lot of money in your account, you could withdraw that money, and you could use for as a person when you are in the university. And that is the time you were to find that food which were provided in the university cafeteria was of high notch. And you could even find students rampaging because there was not, let's say, chapati in the university, because at that time student had money, and that is the time when a student accessed university, actually he could send even some money home, so that the little ones in the secondary level, the parent could use that money to pay for the little ones. So that's during the Moi era. But because as we entered towards the Kibaki era, we had a huge flow of students to our university. And the funding was not a very easy thing to do. And that is why at that time they had to form a formation of what we call HELP. Higher Education Loans Board was actually set in 1995 to complement university funding by offering upkeep loans to needy students. So HELP was actually set up to help the needy students. And around this time, the scheduled university tuition fee stood at Kenyan shillings 16,000. So for you to university, you knew that your fee is 16,000. And then help could come in, and it was able to pay for the student 8,000 Kenyan shillings out of this 18. And at this time still, there was that capitation fee which was going directly to the university. So then it came in to the Kibaki era. And at the Kibaki era, the university funding changed. Students now, they could not really get that boom, because at this time, Kibaki came up with a program which is called Module 2. We had students who could get loans or who could get aid from the government. And we had students who were categorized that they are capable of doing things for themselves. The students who were coming from rich family, capable family. And that module 2 was known as parallel degree program. So at that time, the universities, because there was a large flow of students towards our universities, the university were to get capital to do their daily activities from the students who were on the parallel program. They could actually pay everything for themselves. So this is the time when we add the have and the have not. So those who were have not, they were catered by the government. They could get loans, education loans from the government. And those students who were capable, they could pay entire fee for themselves. But it was having a lot of disadvantage, because you could find lecturers who are flowing towards the parallel side students. And that's why it was found that students for the parallel program, they could only take 2 years and they could graduate. And those from the government side could receive the funding from the government. They were actually even to finish 4 years. And because of that, during the time of Uhuru era, that actually was done what? Was scrapped off. And during the Uhuru era, it brought in a funding system that could not uh, isolate any student, and all the students could receive funding from the government equally. So all students could get the funding from help and even sponsorship from the government. So at the era of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, there was also another thing which happened, that even the private universities could actually get funding from the government. Students from the private universities, they were also getting sponsorship and loans from the government. That means from help. And that's why during the Uhuru era, there was one replacement committee which could replace students at every level of what? Of every level of, universities, whether it is private or public. And students could get equal share. And that's why uh, sometimes it was very difficult for those students who came from family which could not really be able to cater for other other what other other amount which they were supposed to pay by themselves. And that's why during that era we had a lot of funding drive outside here, that a student is going to university, because the government could pay equally for all students to a certain level. And you could find that if you are from a poor family, you are disadvantaged, you could pay more to cap with the remaining fee for the university. And that made very many poor families actually to grumble so that they can get funds. And that's why we had a lot of fund drive in our communities. So that was the model during what? The Uhuru era. And now we have come to the William Samoei Arap Ruto era. And from 2023, the government actually increased budgetary allocation to the higher education sector to facilitate learning under the 5 bands university funding model. So the university, the model for funding students has now been categorized into 5 groups. And that means students now will be placed on those 5 groups for you to get the funding. And those groups, they receive different percentage of funds. So that means you will find one group will actually receive less funding from the government, and this actually has been done according to the well-being of families. That means the students from wealth families could get less funding from the government, and students from needy families could get higher funding. And that's why with this module of William Samoei Arap Ruto, you could get that poor family, they will get a funding up to 95%. So a student from a poor family could only need to get 5% of university fee. But in those well-off family, you will find that they need to get half of the fee entry to the university. They must pay 50% because they are from well-off family. So that is the system of William Samoei Arap Ruto. And let me take you through how this funding, which is based on how families are able to pay for university fee, it has been done, and how the government is going to fund those five bands or those five categorized group. So we have one band or group one includes students from household earning up to Kenyan shillings 5,995. So from those families who are less fortunate, that for them for a month they only get what income, which is what around 5,995, the government will pay 70% of fee as sponsorship, and they will get a loan of 25%, totaling to 95% provision. So the government will pay the bigger chunk of their what? Of their university fee, up to 95%. So from those needy family, they only need to look for 5% of their fee. That is band one. Then we have band two, which includes students from families earning up to 23,670. And at that group, a student will receive 90% of their university fee being funded by the government. That means they will get 60% scholarship and 30% loan by the government. So that means that loan will have to be paid when the student have graduated and has got the job. So that group, band two, the student will get 90% of what? Of university fee, and then you will find the parents must struggle to pay 10% of the fee. Then we have band three, will include students from household earning up to 70,000 shillings. So if you are in a family where your parents are earning up to 70,000 shillings, you will be categorized in band three, and you will receive 80% of government funding. That means 50% scholarship and 30% loans. So that's what the government will provide. And that means you will be struggling. If you are in that group, your parents will be struggling to pay for you 20% of your university fee, as the government will be paying 80%. Then uh, we have band four, which includes students who come from household earning up to 120,000 shillings. If you are a student in that family which earns up to 120,000 shillings, then you will be placed in band four or group four. And that means the government will give you 70% of the university fee. That means you will get 40% government sponsorship and 30% as loan, which you will have to pay later after you will get a job. So the student from those families, they will get 70% of their university fee funded by the government. Then we have the last band, which is band five, where you will find that the government will actually give percent of funding from those students from those families. And those families in band 5, you will find that the parents or that household is actually earning more than 120,000 shillings. So if you are in a family where your parents are earning more than 120,000 shillings, you will be placed in that band what? 5. And that means the government will only give you 50% of your university funding. That means 20 sponsorship and 30% loan. And that means your parent now will have to pay your university fee up to 50% of your university fee. So that is how the university funding have evolved since the time of what? Since the time of independence to the current funding system, which has come up because William Samuel Ruto told the public that if was going to take in, then that was the system he was going to implement in our universities. And actually, another video I will be talking about the William Samuel Ruto university funding system, so that we can know more details and we can know the shortcomings of that and the goodness of that. But with that, that's how we have evolved in funding, or the government funding our students in the universities since the time of independence. And actually that brings me to the end, and I could request you kindly to do these things. If you are watching this video, subscribe, share this video, and hit the notification bell. And lastly, I could thank all those individuals who have subscribed to this YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and may God bless you all abundantly. Goodbye, and may God help you